probably in the next month or yeah. I'm being conservative.
So Jethan asked about the graphics engine. So we're currently experimenting in Unity 5. We've pushing that engine and seeing what we get done in that. We'll be showing some of that off pretty soon to the backers. We haven't locked in the final decision to use Unity 5. Some of that will depend on the tests that we're doing now, but that currently that's what we're using. We'll see how much we can push it. What are the questions we have?
For a limit of objects you can lay on the floor in the old engine, my guess would be 255 or 1024.
Your guess is pretty good, actually. There was a global array of all the objects in the world, and I believe there was also a system to clean things up that had been left sitting on the floor so that they didn't accumulate too much for performance reasons. There was definitely some upper limits there. I don't remember exactly what they were though.
Companion creatures. So we're going to have who was asking about companion creatures? Arshni. So we're going to have companion creatures. I haven't made a decision on NPC companions per se. Really, the core of the feature is to have another being who can tag along with you, help you out in certain ways. We'll definitely have it for creatures. Not sure about NPCs at the moment.
And in fact, the companion creatures in the first place were one of our successful stretch goals on the Kickstarter, they are a step on the way to doing anything like NPC companions. So that remains to be seen, but definitely there'll be some degree of that. And in fact, there was a question about the nature of those was just being discussed on our forums at underworlddescendant.com. We are still very early in the design of those sidekick creatures, but it's something that we are doing.
So somebody, Floofy, asked about are Monsters Beasts going to be hostile to each other? Absolutely. If the ecology model goes the way we want, some creatures are going to hunt other creatures. I'm sure there'll be territorial disputes. Mostly just because monsters fighting monsters is kind of awesome to watch.
Well, it makes your job as an adventurer a little easier if you can lure two pretty nasty monsters to kill each other off while you just sort of sit there and whistle and then walk past them, pick up the goodies.
And it also goes back to our general philosophy that we discussed earlier of having systems that interact with each other in ways that allow the player to exercise more creativity and problem solving.
There's a question from the Tafferthord about will the improvisation engine use it in advanced shading in Unity 5, for instance, light-sensitive traps? That's a good question.
Sounds like Tim's going to have to do that this afternoon.
I actually started doing research on that just the other day. I didn't tell anyone because I didn't get very far, but I'm going to pick it up again. We will see.
Is that like I remember watching the original Indiana Jones movie and trying to figure out how those traps worked, and it must be light sensitive in some way.
No, I actually have to admit that what was going on there was I was going through all of the traps in Minecraft and seeing what we could swipe from Notch. So I admit no shame about that.
Have you tried experimenting with otherworldly physics like objects falling into the ceiling or floating water? Not yet, but those are things I've seen in other games, so I don't think it would be too hard to pull off if we wanted to.
Yeah, I think it would be, in the context of this, would be more, fantasy magic. So if you're casting a spell or there's a spell effect that, were to reverse gravity or something, then you might see that. we're going to certainly experiment with that stuff because we have a pretty broad physics system. Do a lot of fun things there.
Let's see. Arshini asks, are you going to be able to keep the Ultima rule set, stats, runes, etc.? In general, anything that was in Ultima Underworld or Ultima Underworld 2, we have the license to use all of that. Elements of other Ultima games, that is not the case, but there's plenty to work with in terms of the groundwork that we had in the original Underworld games. So everything there, not just that, but also the characters, the settings, the storylines, like all of that is available to us.
Music and sound effects for immersion. It was a stretch goal, and so yes, still is, and we will have fantastic ambient sounds that are essential. I completely agree. They are essential for immersive gaming.
Now is as good a time as any to get the shameless plug in. We are continuing to crowdfund. So if you missed the Kickstarter, you can still come to underworlddescendant.com and make a pledge there. And we were going to continue to track stretch goals and such as we go along. Have we said how long that's going on, or I'm not going to say?
We're expecting to go